Good morning.
Good morning.
Spiritual friends. Welcome to Unity in Ashland. I'm Norma, the minister. And is there anybody here that's just with us for the first time? You've never been here before? Oh, so glad to see you. Thank you. Want to just say your name and where you're from? Are you from Ashland or where are you from?
My name's Ada, and I live in Phoenix.
Oh, nice. Welcome, Ann.
I'm Stream, and I'm from the island of Hawaii.
Stream from Hawaii. Glad you're here. Leah, and you live in Ashland? And you're what?
5.
5? Oh, wow. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for speaking out.
Phillips from Buffalo, New York.
From Buffalo, New York?
Yeah.
That's where I grew up, Philip. Hey, nice to have you here. Are you just visiting? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah? Glad you're here. We Buffalonians make our way out west. Oh, well, so glad to have you all here. And in the first part of the service, we get our business out of the way by giving our announcements. One of the things we always like to ask you to do is turn off your cell phones, too. I'm going to check mine, too, and just make sure it's turned all the way down. It's one of my favorite songs. It's Opening Up in Sweet Surrender to the Luminous Love Light of the One. It's such a unity song, and it's such a heart-opening song. So I welcome you to really get into it. You can stand up and really invoke the presence here through this song, okay? Stand up.
Opening up our breath. Opening up our bodies. Go for it, yeah. Opening up our hearts. Opening up our feet to feel the earth beneath them. And surrendering to the light that wants to find us. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening.
happen in life that open us up, right? Things happen that crack our hearts open. And as I came in here this morning, it was one of those moments of another cracking of my heart open, because on other mornings I would be expecting to see Kim walk through the door and join us here, my dear friend and her partner Nima. And as I walked in this morning, I realized I'm not going to see her walking through that door anymore, and it cracked my heart open. And I went to the bathroom to just compose myself and feel it, and her koto music came before my mind's eye, my remembrance. And so I asked Jane, could we play her a piece of her koto music for you to enjoy listening to, because it's so beautiful. But also just to honor, as Ani, you were saying to me, she was in her body and now she is. She was in her body, but now she is. She is in her larger self, and that's what will happen to all of us. You know, we're in these bodies that are actually our smaller selves, and when we have to shed these bodies, then we are in our larger self. So meditate with me and be in prayer for Kim and her passage, and for me and her partner, and for me as our hearts open in sweet surrender to the realities of our human lives. So beautiful koto piece. Thank you for being with me. such beauty that Kim dedicated her life to studying, to bring forth that beauty on a Japanese instrument, and lived in Japan for over 30 years. And today it's apropos that we had a memorial service yesterday relating to today, because today being Hiroshima Memorial Day, it's a day to remember Japan and to remember the beauty that that culture has created, that we all admire so much. It's blessed the world so much with a high culture of great beauty. And then also to remember the terrible devastation that was brought by our country on that terrible day. Just heard Hideko at the park talk about in detail some of the things that happened that day. And it's beyond our worst imagination, and yet we need to know, and we need to let ourselves feel and open to sweet surrender to humanity and who we are. And we're such exquisite beauty creators, and yet some of humanity created such devastation too. And we've got to take that all into our hearts and move it on through. So today, as we think about Japan, I wanted to focus on doing, in a little while in our program, we'll do some Tonglen meditation, where we're actually letting our bodies be the ones to take it in, to receive, and to then let out our breath that transforms. So we'll be doing that a little later in the program, but that's our theme for today, is acknowledging our Bodhisattva nature, that we are here to bring things through our bodies and to bring peace on earth, and to create, because we're here right now, to create a better world for the children. We, all humans all over the planet, birth children and want the children to have a good life, a wonderful life, and a fun time on planet Earth. And so we've got to do everything we can while we've got our energy to make this world exist and be a wonderful place for the children. So we love you, children. We're so glad you're here. We're working for you. Would you come up and get blessed right now? It takes courage to open up in sweet surrender and feel what we have to feel in life, so that we can transmute it and transform ourselves and let go of our egos, right? It takes courage. So there's this wonderful poem by Anne Sexton. I always get those two mixed up. By Anne Sexton, about courage. And it gives us a real up close and personal, little different look at courage. Thank you, Karen, for reading it.
Courage by Anne Sexton. It is in the small things we see it. A child's first step as awesome as an earthquake. The first time you rode a bike wallowing up the sidewalk. The first spanking when your heart went on a journey all alone. When they called you crybaby or poor or fatty or crazy and made you into an alien, you drank their acid and concealed it. Later, if you faced the death of bombs and bullets, you did not do it with a banner. You did it only with a hat to cover your heart. You did not fondle the weakness inside you, though it was there. Your courage was a small coal that you kept swallowing. If your buddy saved you and died himself in so doing, then his courage was not courage. It was love. Love as simple as shaving soap. Later, if you have endured a great despair, then you tended it in your heart. Later, if you have endured a great despair, then you tended it in your heart.
This next song is another one you can sing along with. I Am Willing, right? Holly Near, right? You know Holly Near, a wonderful social activist, songwriter. And she was here a few months ago, leading this whole large group of people, singing this song for our times. I am willing. I'm willing to feel what we've got to feel, take in what we've got to take in, and then to let it move us. And I think we're being moved now more than we ever have been, right? Like I was saying earlier this morning, Dr. Martin Luther King said, when it's the darkest, it's when the stars are the brightest. So we are being moved by difficult things that are happening. The threat of nuclear war is bigger now than it was years ago. Unbelievably so. But we are being moved. We're being moved, and this song helps us to say, I'm willing. So feel that in your life today. What are you willing to do? What is Spirit speaking to you to let go of, to move through, to shed any unforgiveness that we have, to move on through to the greater oneness? What are you willing to do? Let's sing this together with all of our strength.
So the words say, I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. And we'll sing that a lot in the song. Let's sing it now. I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. One more time. I am open. I am willing to be hopeless. It seems so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. One more time on
Can we
that.
stand up and sing that three more times? Really feel it.
I am willing to be hopeless. It seems so strange. Dishonors those who have gone before us. Oh, lift me up to the light of change. Oh, lift me up to the light of change. Lift me up to the light of change.
Just stand there for a moment and feel yourself lifted up. Feel your shoulders straightening and your feet planted in the ground. Just feel this presence of Spirit lifting you up into your full stature. You are important on planet Earth right now. Every day that you walk on this planet, like Thich Nhat Hanh said, may your feet, your footsteps bring peace with every step you take. Imagine yourself as if you're receiving right now a mantle of some work that you have to do. Maybe it's a work in your own family system. Maybe it's a work in the community. Maybe it's a work with children or with animals. But feel yourself in your stature right now receiving your work. Maybe it's a work with the dying. Maybe it's a work with birthing. We each have something special that's our mantle, that's our work. Feel yourself receiving it right now in your stature. Coming upon you. You're being reminded of it. And you're being enabled to do it. Spirit's help. Let's sing it one more time. I am open.
I am open, and I am willing, for to be hopeless. It seems so strange. It dishonors those who have worked so hard before us. So lift me up, lift us all up.
Somebody next to you. So let this sharing just be the portent of good sharing that we can do afterwards in our refreshment time together. An opportunity to share deeply with one another what are the callings of our hearts. And in that song, one of the stanzas talked about, give me an ocean big enough to hold all the tears. Give me an oak that can ground me. Our next poem by Wendell Berry is about this. It's about that when we are called upon to open to big things and to know deep suffering that exists in the world, we need grounding. We can't do it without grounding ourselves. And the earth, in all of its glory and spiritual aliveness, is here to help us. And Wendell Berry, he was a great biologist and spiritual leader. He knew that. He wrote such wonderful poems that call us to remember how much the earth is there to help us ground. So thank you, Anya, for reading these poems to us. Read it twice.
Good morning. Grace in the Woods by Wendell Berry. I part the outthrusting branches and come in beneath and blessed the blessed and blessing trees. The woods is shining this morning. Branches hang full of light in the air, still. Perfect in its rise and in its fall, it takes the place it has been coming to forever. The tree has not hastened here, nor lagged. See how surely it has sought itself, its roots passing lordly through the earth. See how without confusion it is, all that it is, and how flawless the grace is. Though I am silent, there is singing around me. Though I am dark, there is vision around me. Though I am heavy, there is flight around me. Walking or running, the way is the same. Be still. Be still. He moves your bones, and the way is clear. I part the outthrusting branches and come in beneath the blessed and blessing trees. The woods is shining this morning. Branches hang full of light in the air, still. Perfect in its rise and in its fall, it takes the place it has been coming to forever. The tree has not hastened here, nor lagged. See how surely it has sought itself, its roots passing lordly through the earth. See how without confusion it is, all that it is, and how flawless its grace is. Though I am silent, there is singing around me. Though I am dark, there is vision around me. Though I am heavy, there is flight around me. Running or walking, the way is the same. Be still. Be still. He moves your bones, and the way is clear. Be still. Be still. He moves your bones, and the way is clear.
Hideko, who is a survivor of Hiroshima, who lives here in Ashland, speaks at the Hiroshima Memorial event every year. Now she's getting older, she's, in her 70s, and she was there in Hiroshima. Her family was there. So she's a person who lived through it, who speaks to us every year to help us remember. And this year in particular, she was so powerful in what she was saying. And she was recalling that right at the ground zero point of the bomb were all of the schools of Hiroshima for the most brilliant students, that they had to go through many tests and pass many, standardized tests in order to get into these schools. They were the most brilliant children, girls' schools and boys' schools, and that's where the bomb hit. And I won't go into the graphic details she was telling us, but she said that the teachers, when the bomb hit, everything starts to melt. And the teachers had enough strength to yell out to the children, "Run, you must run." And so some of them that could gather the strength to run, they could run out of the building and as it was collapsing, get out of it and run to the river. And that poem was saying, whether running or walking, there's a spirit that's moving in our bones, guiding us. I was saying that this morning that the spirit is with us, no matter what happens. Like Elie Wiesel said in the concentration camp, where was God? How did God let that happen? No, God was with them in the concentration camp. God is with us. God is with everyone who's suffering. Spirit is in us. The aliveness of spirit is in us. And it's guiding us, even in drastic moments like that, what to do, what to do. So we are receiving guidance all the time, right? And what I've been trying to learn is how to listen more quickly and drop my defenses, drop my holdbacks, drop my unforgiveness more quickly. If I get hit by something hard, feel it and acknowledge that, oh, that person was in pain. And yes, that hurt. And let me drop it. Let me ground and breathe. And let it go so that I can, reconfigure in my wholeness and my oneness and move forward. So that's what we have to do over and over again, more and more quickly. And this next song, I've been singing it since I was a teenager. You probably have too. And back then I had a lot of hope that the world was really changing, and I still do, even though we've been through lots of ups and downs and lots of hard things. Like that previous song was saying, I'm willing and open to keep hoping, because it would not serve those who've gone before us or those that come after us to not keep hoping for radical change. And so this song is such a wonderful reminder of, all through our lives, we keep hoping. And as you sing this song, Blowing in the Wind, it's about peace coming on earth, and it's about, all the times that have gone on with people hoping for peace. So let's enjoy this wonderful song together.
I'm sure you know it, so I hope you'll raise your voice with me. And one thing I love about this song is there's these questions. How many times do you have to do this? How many roads do you have to walk down? And all this doing to get to the answer. And in the chorus, where do they find the answer? Blowing in the wind, right? So if we can tune into the subtle movement of the breath, of our breath, of the breath of the universe, the answers, so they're already there. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? And how many times must the cannonballs fall
feeling a lot right now, you know? Because this service and being together helps me every week. I hope it helps you too, but it helps me to come to myself, you know, to feel what I feel, to have a little time out to really feel and tune in to spirit. So be with me if I have tears, and it's wonderful to know that we can be together in our various feelings. You know, we've had times of great rejoicing, and it's not that I'm not able to be with, you know, the presence of you all and being here, but at the same time, there's a part of me that's in a deep place right now, you know. And I hope that you'll pray for me and for Mima and the others that are close to Kim this week, that we will have a little time out of time, because it's been a very busy time being with her in the dying process, and then going into all the preparations for the funeral and people coming from out of town and everything. It's interesting how when someone dies, isn't it? It's a busy time. And then really you don't get to be in the quietude of that till afterwards. So this week, I mean, today in a way I look at this as a doorway into that quietude for me of being together in a beautiful way.
We love you, Norma. We love you.
Thank you.
We love you so much.
Thank you. I had already set the topic that we would be talking about. What does it mean to be a Bodhisattva today? Because I think we all here are Bodhisattvas. And I feel like this week I've had to be a Bodhisattva, and this is the definition of it. It says it's a heroic-minded one who is set on enlightenment. The sattva part is the heroic-minded one, and the bodhi is who is set on enlightenment. So through all of my deep feelings, you know, there was also this feeling of grace that was with me through all of your prayers, that I could be a heroic-minded one, you know, and keep focused and act and do what I had to do to bring forth hope. Sometimes we think we don't, oh, it's not me who's a bodhisattva, surely it's not me, you know, like that's an enlightened Buddha person. But traditionally, a bodhisattva is anyone who is motivated by great compassion and has generated the heart force, which is called bodhicitta, heart force. Generated that heart force to be dedicated to attain unconditional loving kindness for all sentient beings. Isn't that a great definition? You know, that we focus our heart force to be dedicated to attain unconditional loving kindness. It's a time on our planet when we've got to generate this great heart force, don't you think? We celebrate the awakening of this heart force within humanity when things like Ferguson happen, and you know, all the different difficult things that have happened, Standing Rock. We've watched how it generates a great heart force. And that heart force is a consciousness that is real. You know, like plants hold a life force. That song that Kim was playing in the koto was called Young Bamboo. And in Japan, they really honor the young bamboo coming up out of the ground, right? Because it has such a life force. It shoots up out of the ground with tremendous life force. And I believe that there's a springtime happening in humanity right now, that we have this powerful life force because we're sick unto death of dualisms. We're over it about war, and especially about nuclear war. We are ready to celebrate our graduation as humanity into non-duality, right? You agree with me?
Yes.
Non-duality is our spiritual heritage here at Unity. And it's becoming the rising trend, rippling like a great tidal wave in the minds of the masses. It's pretty amazing, isn't it, to see that people all over the place are talking about non-duality. So let's just be clear, in practicing non-duality, we're not denying diversity, no, not at all. On the contrary, creation and creativity, all of creation has great diversity in it. The healthiest ecosystem is the one with the most diversity, and the species all thriving in it. What happens in dualism is the shutting down of diversity, like the species being killed off and difference of opinions being squelched. What makes us diverse is okay. There's nothing wrong with our diversity, but the idea of dualism has been choking the life out of us. Dualism in our politics, dualism in our own inner perceptions of things, that chokes life out of us. This dualism is the way that all wars start. A war in our families, or a war in our communities, from grabbing onto being right, and then getting stuck in a dualistic mindset, right? It's a polarized approach to differences. Conflicts are born out of this polarization. Differences of opinion do not create conflict. It's the way we distance and separate and get angry and defensive because we have differences. All the great social justice thinkers admit that what happens to one of us ultimately happens to all of us, right? So it's that heart of compassion that comes over us and takes us into facing into our own pain, our own fears, rather than resorting to right away seeing the other person as wrong and bad and projecting our fears out onto them. So this is kind of spirituality 101 I'm talking to you about, you know, but it's amazing how a lot of the world doesn't know it. Oh. In our spiritual path of new thought, of unity consciousness, we have certain ways of doing this, of ending dualism. And you've heard me say it over and over, but just to remind us, we have a very simple practice available to us where we affirm, the first thing we do is we affirm the existence of a God power that is one, and that is exemplified by goodness and love. So if anything happens that you get hurt, or you feel fearfully challenged, or you see things in the world that you end up feeling like you might hate those people, if you can get an automatic reaction in you, like turn the other cheek, you know, not the automatic reaction of lashing out, but the automatic reaction of turn the other cheek, and then let this thought come into your mind: we are one. We are one. We are all one in the goodness of God, which is love. So let that be your first thought. And then we affirm our alignment with this power of all goodness, the creator of the universe. So the goodness exists, and I'm going to align with it right now. Spirit, help me to align with it. And then the next thing, we deny the appearances of things that threaten us or cause us fear. So this person may look like they're threatening me right now, but I'm going to deny that that has any power to destroy my oneness with them. We don't deny that it exists, what they're doing. We deny that they have the power to separate us from love, from divine presence. Now, I know I talk about this all the time here. I talk about this almost every week. But I'm still practicing it, right? I'm still getting better at it, and I know that we need reminders of it, you know. I had a woman staying up at the center, you know, we have drug and alcohol recovery there, and we did everything we could to help her, and she was very stuck in a dualistic mindset of wanting to see everything bad outside of her. And it all turned out that her insurance didn't even cover her. So we gave her 7 days of totally free luxury treatment and all of our good counseling and everything, and she still wasn't ready to release from her dualistic mindset. And so she texted me right as I was preparing for Kim's ceremony yesterday morning, this long, hateful text about how she didn't get helped and none of us helped her. And it hit me like, wow, painfully. And I tried to do this with it, you know, like acknowledge that she must be in a lot of fear and pain, and hold her in the oneness and deny that her attacking energy has any power to keep me from the divine presence in which we're not separated from love, and that if I held that, maybe somehow she will at some point be brought into that sense of not being separated from love. But you know what I mean? Sometimes things hurt us, and it's hard in those moments to hold. And I was tempted to go into, why now? I'm just, I'm in a vulnerable place, and I need my strength, and this text coming right now, but that's how it happens sometimes. We have to hold things in the most difficult moments when we are vulnerable. Still, the tests come, and we've got to hold to our values and what we know. So, what is non-duality? The science of quantum physics has come to affirm our kind of unity spirituality, because it tells us that the fundamental nature of all things is non-dual, is one, that there is this unified field. Spiritual teachers in all traditions have been teaching that there's this one common essence to the universe. Allah is one, God is one, and now science is affirming that the more we penetrate into matter, we see that there's no thing. There are no things. Have you heard that? It's not exactly the same as nothingness. It means that there is no thing, no object at the core of it all. It's 99.9% empty space. Matter is actually not made up of matter. There's no underlying physical world. Now, when we hear that, that could make you feel a little bit crazy, maybe. So, like, whoa, no physical world, ungrounded. But no, the world of solid matter is a construct of the mind. It's made up. It's constructed. Ultimate reality, the scientists are verifying, is more on the side of mind, not matter. It's more on the side of our greater, larger consciousness and not this form. The ultimate reality is more like pure awareness of spirit and our oneness with spirit than it is anything about separation. Isn't that cool? No thingness is not vacuum empty. There is something that makes it a unified field. As we talked about some months ago, scientists have admitted to a God particle that's not matter, but non-material unifying principle in the universe that seems to hold it all together, to unify it. We might say there's a seamless wholeness to the nature of reality. We talk about oneness, that we all come from the same source and we accept our interbeing. But still, while we're here in this form, we're like individual leaves on the limb of the same tree, or individualized expressions of the same tree. We don't exist separate from the tree, though. We don't. None of us exist separate from one another, from the earth, from the source. It's a misunderstanding that causes mischief because our ego only knows itself through comparison and contrast. I am me because I'm not you. I've got to have big boundaries to you because I'm not you. So we spend a lot of time arguing to get our point across. Ego believes it will lose its specialness if it doesn't cling to itself. But we are first and foremost spiritual beings. And if we can breathe at any particular moment and relax into that, like this morning at the service, Irene Kai came up to me afterwards, and you know who she is. She's a Chinese woman who lives here, a wonderful peace activist. And she said, peace is complex, isn't it? Because all of her relatives lived in China during the Japanese occupation. And so she was there at the Hiroshima event, but she has all that pain from that. So it's all very complex. There are people in the United States who celebrated the Hiroshima bomb dropping, how horrific we think that is, but they felt that it brought the end to the war. So there's a great complexity that we have to hold to come through to oneness. Carl Jung said that maturity is holding the complexity long enough without coming to premature foreclosure. That's what maturity is. And so Irene was there as a spiritual being opening her heart. And the Japanese people were there as spiritual beings opening their hearts to Americans. And, you know, it takes a lot of that, of breathing and opening. And letting the larger aspect of ourselves be in our driver's seat, so that the whole train that's being driven along will eventually get to the right destination. Our spiritual essence has got to be in our driver's seats. You know, a couple of years ago, the movie from Star Wars came out that was called The Force Awakens. Did any of you see that movie when it came out? I don't know if it's still true, but at that time it was the largest box office sell that ever happened in the whole world. So it shows that people are drawn to this idea of the Force awakening. And Star Wars is a tricky thing, though. Like I'm talking about this complexity, because, you know, when you watch Star Wars, non-duality is something they're telling us that can only really be achieved when we fully embrace the duality. The dark worker and the light worker were revealed to be the same thing. Well, I read this week as I was thinking about Hiroshima, people were talking about our nation and how Steve Bannon, is that how you say his name? Bannon. He said, Darth Vader is good. Dark is good. Well, yeah. Like when we hear him say that, we don't like to hear that because we don't like to imagine what he might be getting at, you know. But still, to have a person in our government who's there, who's saying something like that, is very challenging to complexity, to holding the complexity, because it's big what we're called to do, embracing this whole problem of duality on planet Earth and work towards the solution of non-duality. It's a big task. And the further we get down the path of light/dark, you realize that to ultimately help yourself, you have to help others. And to help others, you have to help yourself. And then even further down the path, you realize you are the light and you are the dark. It's all in you. It's in our heritage. And we can end the battles once and for all by accepting the gifts of our whole journey in our own heritage. Accepting that. And only on the lower levels of perception are we stuck in perceiving the good guys and the bad guys. And as we get higher, the changes become more subtle, more and more subtle, less distinct, until ultimately, I reckon, you just end up in a whole new non-dualistic state, totally free. I'm not quite there yet, but that's where I'm headed. And this is the truth. The truth will set us all the way free. I think this is what the Buddha was talking about, the middle way, or the path of peace. This place where we live in the balance of it all, the holding the complexity in any particular moment. And that's why I think Jesus said, I am the way, the middle way. I am the truth, and I am the life. And we can say that. Let's say that together. I am the way. I am the truth. And I am the life. This life is in us. And it's, you know, moving in us. Like I'm saying, the force is awake and alive in us. And it's moving us toward where the train is headed, which is not toward a big crash at the end. It's headed toward oneness. And the battle will be over when we embrace everything and let it flow through us. Instead of around us out there, let it flow through us. All of it. Irene thanked me this morning for being a person that is letting this happen. You know? opening to letting so much flow through me. And she said, I pray for you every day. And I appreciate that. I pray for you. I think of you as we go throughout our weeks. You know, your different faces come to my mind. And I want you to pray for one another. It takes getting to know each other, you know, getting to know what our particular burdens are. So that's why we'd like to have the social time afterwards, so you can really talk to each other, get to know each other, so that we can pray for one another as we walk throughout our lives, so that we can hold this oneness, so that we can know what we have to know and open to the pain that we have to open to, and then bring it through us and transform it and bring it back out. So we're going to have another wonderful song right now that is a solo song that is called The Answer. And the answer, you know, the answer really comes through grace. It's something bigger than our own local minds. We can't really fathom what the answer is going to be. But this is a Sarah McLachlan, right? I love her songs. And it's about opening to the grace, you know. We've got to open to let grace come to us in any particular moment. And we'll have the answers. We'll have the answers that we need in any particular moment. So enjoy this wonderful song, The Answer.
Memories I can wash this from my mind. The memory of choosing not to fight. I don't have to fight. I don't have to fight. It will be alright. I don't have to fight. I don't have to fight. It will be alright.
Beautiful song, perfect song. I'd like you to close your eyes for just a few moments to do some Tonglen meditation together, to actually take it into a practice together here. You can sit in a straight posture and relax in your chair. Feel your stature though in your chair. Feel your hips grounded there, your feet gently resting on the floor and your hands gently resting in your lap. You want to feel relaxed and open. Let your body and your mind settle. We'll begin with a prayer that a Buddhist congregation would say if they were doing Tonglen meditation. This is the prayer. Having recognized the futility of my selfishness and the great benefit of loving others, may I bring all beings to joy. May I send all my virtues and happiness to others through the strength of this practice. And may I receive the suffering, the obstacles, and defilements of all motherly beings in all realms. Begin by breathing in whatever you're feeling right now and accepting it. Any tension that you might feel, any sadness, any feelings at all. Just breathe in, exhale out well-being. Breathe in whatever you're feeling, any tensions that you might be feeling, and as you breathe out, clear your mind by breathing out kindness. Breathe in whatever you're feeling, whatever sensations you pick up on. And as you exhale, give yourself some more spaciousness. Keep breathing in this way, being aware as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, being calm and alert. Work with the texture of the breath. Feel the rhythm of your breathing. Now on your in-breath, imagine that you're inhaling heavy, hot air. Just imagine that. As you breathe in, heavy, hot air. And as you breathe out, cool, light air. Continue with this pattern for a few breaths. Breathing in heaviness and breathing out lightness. Breathing in suffering and breathing out well-being. Breathing in tension and breathing out calmness. Continue with this for a few more breaths until you get familiar with this pattern. In breath heavy, hot through every pore. Out breath cool, light flows through every pore. This is the Tonglen breath. You're purposefully imagining the difficulties that you're breathing in, and then purposefully imagining light, cool energy flowing out of you. And now we're going to take up the second part of the practice, which is called dissolving the metal sheath around the heart. We all have metal sheaths around our heart. So visualize that metal sheath around your heart. The metal sheath is everything about you that's difficult for you to accept. Your self-pitying, your self-importance, your selfishness, your self-cherishing. It's a band of fear that hardens your heart. So this practice invites you to dissolve this metal sheath. Dissolve it. Let it drop. Let it dissolve. Ooh, just feel that. Let this metal sheath just dissolve away. And open your heart to its natural state, its natural, non-judgmental state of warmth and kindness and spaciousness. That's your natural state of your heart. So just one more time, imagine this metal sheath, the last parts of it breaking apart, dissolving, all gone. And your true heart is warm and kind and spacious. So now visualize the in-breath into this open heart, the hot, heavy air. And as it comes into your open heart, it vanishes into open space in your heart. It comes into this huge spaciousness that's your natural mercy in your heart. Your unarmored heart that allows you to be with the suffering and at the same time to see beneath the suffering. This is your awakened heart. So breathe in the heavy, hot energy of suffering into your spacious heart. And as you breathe out, cool light, cool light. Breathe in once more this hot suffering, others' suffering, into your heart. And then, cool light. Keep doing this. I want you to bring to mind somebody now in this breathing practice, somebody dead or alive with whom you feel a deep connection, like a pet of yours, or a child, or a parent, or your grandmother, or your dearest friend, or your beloved teacher, someone that you know, though, who is suffering. And you do anything to help this one. So be with this one right now and experience, as you breathe in, what she or he is experiencing. Let your whole being turn toward her suffering and wish that it might be relieved. See how vulnerable she is. Like a mother who will do anything to help her child, you'll do anything to help your friend. Visualize the suffering of your beloved one as polluted hot smoke. And breathe it in through your whole body right now. Breathe it in. And then in this instant, the out-breath. Your sheath of your heart is broken apart and you're open to the suffering and you have transmuted it. And you're breathing out deep, cool, light, and spacious healing breath to your friend. Let's do that again. Breathing in their suffering. Letting it come into your beautiful heart, your warm heart, and then breathe it out. This friend is being connected with you right now in this breath. Let your heart feel them. Let their presence be with you right here, right now. And know that you can continue this practice in your own life every day. I now want you to imagine we can heal the past and we can heal the future. It's amazing, but it's a shamanic truth. It's a spiritual truth. We can heal the past. So I want us right now on Hiroshima Day to be brave enough, courageous enough to go back just for a moment to Hiroshima. to Nagasaki. Just for a moment. And breathe in that hot air. That hot air. It burned them. It hurt them. The children. Breathe it in. Into our open hearts. And then breathe out the cool, the light, the comfort. Breathing it in. Oh, into our open, spacious heart. No protection, no sheath. Our open, spacious heart. Whew. Cool, cool, cool. Breathe it in again. Hot, heavy air. Oh, feel the openness, the spaciousness, holding them there. The children. Breathe it out. We can do this. We can do this. Breathe it in one more time. Hot, heavy air. Feel your spacious heart opening. Don't analyze it. Just let it break your heart open to your bigger self. Your bigger self. Simply do the practice. This heavy, hot smoke of suffering. And then breathe out sympathetic space. Sympathetic. Relief. Kindness. We can do this. We can be this. Great Spirit, we pray in our closing moments here that because of our practice, that the pain of sentient beings can be relieved in the past and in the future and in the present. That because we're willing to do this practice, that we can take in to the great heart that is your heart, that is our heart. We can have this bodhicitta force and focus that we can do this. We can absorb and transform suffering. And on our out-breath, while we're still alive, we can transform through strength and understanding and compassion all of pain that happens here on planet Earth. We can hold it. We can hold the complexity long enough in our lives to come all the way through to complete healing. Do this. We are this. We can be this. Thank you for doing this and being this today together. You're wonderful, wonderful beings. Great blessing will flow in your life because you've done this practice. Shake it out now. Shake it out. Let your arms shake and your shoulders shake and your legs shake. Woo! Shake it out. Shake it out. Shake it out. Ground yourself. Feel your feet on the ground. Stomp your feet. Move, move. Thank you. Look around the room at one another, tears and all. Appreciate each other. Love being here. We're going to take our offering now. Thank you so much for giving generously to our unity work here.